What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another Mevo Live. My name is Will Kirkpatrick, and I'm a senior technical specialist here at Mevo, and I am joined.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. How's it going, Will?
Um, it's going good, man. It's going good. We're kind of playing around with a bunch of new stuff today. I'm using a green screen behind me to do this cool, fantastically decorated set.
Yeah, it
Um,
looks awesome.
Thank you. And let's see. So to kind of talk about the setup that I'm using right now, I'm doing a Mevo start over Ethernet using the Mevo PoE adapter, and then I'm actually using wireless webcam instead of NDI today. And because I think it's important to share that you can use wireless webcam over Ethernet. So that's something that I thought I'd try out today. And then I've got my blue baby bottle microphone that's connected to my computer directly using USB-C. What about you?
Nice.
What's your setup today?
So pretty similar as usual with these setups. I'm going wireless webcam to Skype, and then we are sending my Skype signal to you via NDI, which is going back into your broadcast software. And then for audio, I'm coming from my baby bottle, which is coming into a DBX compressor. And then that is then being routed to both my interface, and it's also being routed to um, my analog mixer. Okay, so now we go from the analog mixer. The output, the headphone output of that, is coming to a little headphone amplifier, and that amplifier is then being distributed to all of my Mevos. So I have 4 Mevos running on that 1 amp, and this gives me the option, of course, if I want to switch between cameras around. I don't have to do anything with my audio. I can just leave my audio consistent, and it'll be the same audio going to each camera. But right now we're just using the single cam for today. So that's what I got.
Nice. I think I'm gonna start looking into doing that with my audio as well because I've been talking about how I use NDI to kind of send that microphone feed to all these different computers, but the problem is if I've got my VPN up or something like that, then unfortunately NDI just can't go through that. And
Hmm.
so if I've got that VPN on, then I've gotta not use NDI for that audio, which is kind of a hassle. So I'm starting to lean towards your direction.
Yeah, and I obviously just I chose this A because I have the gear, right? Like it's
Right.
available to me. So, and then B, it's like I said, it's an analog setup. So what's cool the way I have things set up right now is I could take audio from any device I'm using. So let's say I want to do gaming and I want to have let's say I have PlayStation and I want to have that audio come in on top of having my vocal audio come in on top of that. Because I'm using that analog mixer, I can kind of just route all this stuff directly into the Mevo, which is awesome. So if I'm doing any type of stream on the back end on my computer side, only audio I need to look for is what's coming out of the Mevo, and that's what syncs everything up anyway. So
Nice.
it's kind of cool, like mixing the two.
Yeah, I like that. So wait, so is you doing PlayStation, right?
Yeah, that'd be PS4.
PS4,
Yeah,
and then that's feeding into that same audio setup.
yeah, yeah. So here's a little quick gaming tip, especially if you're using some type of like if you're using console for gaming, right? So before I address that, I did see a comment about my audio. If my audio does sound a little digital as at right now, that's a byproduct of Skype. It's kind of something that we've been dealing with. It definitely degrades the audio and video quality, sending it from Skype, from me to Skype through NDI back to Will. Um, but hopefully it's not that bad. Let me take a listen. Yeah, and then the
Sounds all
background
right
noise
to
you're
me.
hearing. Yeah, and the background noise you're hearing, I have no noise suppression going on, so you're hearing some of the fans from the computers I have going, where normally I'd have some type of noise suppression cutting that out. But because of the way we're sending the feed today, I just don't have that run in my signal chain. But back to what I was saying. So if I wanted to stream using my Mevos to Twitch and have this type of audio setup, there's a couple of things you need to know with the PlayStation. For example, the PlayStation will not allow you to have a Bluetooth chat setup and then also output audio to a stream, right? So if you have a Bluetooth headset that you're using for your chatting or your streaming, you're not going to be able to hear any of that. So what I have to do then is take the output from the TV itself, which is a line output from my actual TV, bring that in as a line in. So now what's happening is my gameplay, which is coming through the TV speakers, is now coming through that output. I then set up the microphone I have here is the microphone that you'll hear me speak to on the Twitch account. So like this same setup I have today, right, plugged in through my analog mixer into my Mevo. So the sound from the TV and the sound from me vocally are both going to my analog mixer. So I have a channel for my TV, I have a channel for me. I can mix those together. Those are going directly to the Mevo. Now, the only other caveat is the chat audio in the game, right? So let's play you're playing with your friends, and so what I use with the PlayStation is actually the Blue Yeti Nano. I have that USB plugged into my PlayStation. It's actually right here.
Nice.
If you can see that on the screen. And I literally just position that in the same position as my normal microphone. So basically, I'm hitting two mics. One mic is going to the team in the game, and one mic is going to my stream or to Twitch or with Twitch. So it's a little complicated of a setup, but it allows me to have full control over every piece of audio that I'm using, right? So I can control the output from my game into my Twitch stream. I can control my voice into the Twitch stream. I can control my voice going to my friends in game. So I have all those three different options available to me. So it's a bit of a workaround to figure it out how to set it up, and you have to work around some limitations around the PS4 console that aren't, you don't have to work around with like PC because everything's included. But it's definitely possible, and I do it with the Mevos, which is cool.
Very cool. Taking advantage of the power of the Mevos as well as blue mics. So love it. All right. Looks like we've got a lot of people jumping in chat. Let's see. Hey,
Absolutely.
Fred, how you doing? Ben, Charlie. Let's see. Samuel, Jose. Cool. Welcome everybody. All right. Fred the Hippo is already jumping in, asking about updates. We don't have any update announcement for today, I'm afraid. But
Yeah.
Keep watching the shows. As soon as we can, we will always share that update. So I promise we will. But sadly not today. Let's see. Jack says, hey everyone, who's ready for the giveaway? So ready. Always ready for giveaways. Speaking of which, let's actually mention that we are doing that holiday special show. And that's next week, right? On the 16th.
The holiday show is on the 16th. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so that'll be really cool. We're doing a bunch of contests on that show, a bunch of games and contests. So be sure to check that one out. You don't want to miss it. That'll be the 16th of December. And then actually, now that we're talking about kind of future shows, let's go over the schedule real quick. We have shows twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And then, our Tuesday show is all about answering as many questions as we can. And then on the Thursday show, we're also going to be answering your questions, but we also kind of like to do more of a deep dive into different topics. So if you have a question, we may end up going deep into explaining why that is a good thing to do. And then while we're mentioning all these important things, I do want to mention that we do have a referral program. And the reason that we have this program is we hear from so many people that they get asked about the Mevo when they're using it. And we wanted to give you that opportunity to benefit from all the people that you're telling the Mevo about. And so we have this referral program where if you refer someone to make a purchase on Mevo.com, you'll earn 5% commission and they'll get 5% off. So it's really a great deal, and you can make a custom referral code. So if you have a specific channel name, or you want to name it, um, for the organization that you are running or anything like that, you can set up a custom code. So it's a great way to kind of get other people involved. Cool.
Nice. So let's dive into some questions. What do you say? It looks like we might be getting some notifications that we have some sync delay again. This is something that we've just been dealing with Skype, and we can't really get around it.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating having. I think NDI is just kind of it slips. I think we talked about it a little bit on that last show that we had together. I think last week, where for some reason when you're using NDI with OBS, there's just kind of this weird slip with the audio. I'm not really sure why that is. All right. Let's see. Samuel says, how do you set up an encoder to work along your Mevo cameras and still being able to use them with the Android app to control the camera for your live stream? So right now, this is actually very much what we're doing right now. So we're using OBS to bring all the feeds together. I am connected via wireless webcam, as mentioned before. And so, if your Mevo is connected to your computer, you can have the Mevo app open if you want. And so you can use that to add graphics. You can use that to do the panning and zooming and cropping and all that. You can do slow pan and zoom, quick pan and zoom, all that stuff. And so you can just keep that app open. The only thing that you can't do is like if you were using the Multicam app and you wanted to control it with the Mevo app, unfortunately you couldn't do that. But if your Mevo is connected to a computer, you can absolutely have the app open to do all sorts of controlling. Let's see. Jack says, love the green screen. Thank you so much. This is the Logitech green screen. You can find it on logitech.com. And it's really cool because it can expand and go down. So if you wanted to, move it around your house or even move it from, your home to wherever you're shooting on location, you can definitely do that really easily. So I do recommend it. It's also not very expensive.
Can we see the full shot of that, Will? I want to see what the full spectrum shot of that green screen looks like.
Yeah, let's see. All right, so you can see a little behind the scenes there. So really easy to set up.
Question for you. So what are you doing as far as your lighting? Because it looks really good, right? So what do you? Is it just lighting from the front? Are you lighting the green screen itself? What do you got going on there?
Yeah, so the tricky thing about using a green screen is you have to have really even lighting throughout because most broadcasting programs, they will only see like a certain color of green or a certain one specific color basically. So it has to be a flat color. So if you have different shadows, then you'll have this weird kind of effect that it'll be kind of like static looking. So what I am doing right now is I'm actually using 3 key lights right now, one on either side and then one right above me, so I can have that even lighting. It's
Awesome.
pretty great. I highly recommend Lytra lights if you're interested in some really good lighting that is also pretty small. Lytra has a lot of good options.
Awesome.
Let's see. Versus Will's getting in the Christmas spirit. I am. I saw Joseph and his background, which is actually, he should get more points than I do because his was a lot more effort, I'm sure. But I saw that and I was jealous and I was like, oh man, I'm just, the Grinch. So I had to up my holiday game.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I just threw some lights up, but yours on a digital effort is way, way, way more advanced.
that's me, man. It's the digital stuff over the physical stuff for sure. And then to do this cool video background, there are actually like, I don't know, thousands of videos on YouTube that are like green screen backgrounds. And so this is like a video loop that goes for, I think, like 6 hours or something like that. And I just went ahead and downloaded that YouTube video and set it up in OBS. So
Awesome.
it's a good way to do that. Maybe I'll show up to some meetings with this going on. Jose says, "Is this chroma key?" It is. It is. Nice green screen. Let's see. Is NDI better than SDI for live stream? So NDI and SDI are very different. NDI is kind of sending video over your network, and SDI is more of a hardwire option. Fred Debo says, I think it comes out on Friday. Oh, Fred the Hippo is very excited about the updates. I'm not sure when our next update is gonna be, but it should be soon. I think we had Nate talking about one coming very, very soon. So as soon as it does come out, we will absolutely talk about it on the live show. That's kind of like the most fun that we have is talking about all the updates as soon as they come out. So I promise you that we're definitely not holding back.
Yeah, and the situation is we actually were planning on having something a little bit earlier, but when we did some testing on it, we ran into some bugs that just needed to be fixed, and there was just no stopping it. Like it wouldn't have benefited you, the user, or us as a company to release it, but those are already being addressed, so we should have something pretty soon.
All right.
Let me see if I
says,
put my
from Oregon. What is up?
Nice.
How's it going from Brooklyn? How do you remove sound from the background? That's a good audio question for you, Joseph.
It is, and I am actually working on that right now. So there's a couple of different ways you could do it depending on your situation. So any type of like noise, hum, whether it be computer fans or AC units or anything like that, there's ways you can mitigate that in the stream. So you can use noise suppression, which that could be outboard or onboard, depending on what you're using. So if you're using something like Streamlabs, they have a built-in noise suppressor. And what that does is it takes any basically just static noise under a certain threshold, and it sets them, it basically gates them so you can't hear it. So you need something to come above a threshold to kind of break through. Some noise suppressors work better than others, where they'll continue to EQ out some of the noise as you start opening up the gates and stuff like that. So it really just depends on what you're using. So for me today, it's a couple of things happening. I have a computer which is almost right next to this microphone. It's something that I set up recently. Will and I were testing things with NDI Bridge this week. So we built we didn't build it, but we acquired another computer specifically for that, and the fans are just super loud. I haven't got it situated just yet. So that's something that you don't normally hear on my end of things. But that could be also cut out through OBS. It could be cut out in the platform that we're using. So for example, Skype has a built-in noise suppressor as well, which actually just turned on. So you guys let me know if it cut down some of that outside noise. Being that I'm coming from my computer through wireless webcam into Skype. Skype is then sending an NDI signal directly to the input of Will's OBS system. This is where we're trying to mitigate some of the sync delays and stuff like that you guys might be seeing. If you chimed in on Tuesday when I did the single cam show, you'll notice that wasn't even a problem. And obviously the reason for that was because we were streaming directly from the Mevo. So right now we're streaming through a server, we're streaming through an OBS system. So there's a lot in the chain going on right now. But as far as noise suppression on Will's side of things, inside of his OBS system, he still has those filters or plugins that he can use to kind of lower the background noise of his microphone as well. So, Will, let me ask you what's going on. Are we still out of sync in Skype? Is Skype still kind of killing us right now? Let's take a look.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it on my end, but I definitely see some people in chat that have mentioned it. So kind of while you review that video, I'm gonna keep going down the list here.
Okay.
Let's see. Can you explain the process of collecting logs from the Mevo when you open a ticket directly from within the Mevo app, specifically the setup of placing 2 files in the SIM? Yeah, so when we ask you to send in logs, and it's always good to send in logs, it's always good to send in media. The more pictures and the more video, all that stuff, the more you have that to send in, the better. The faster you will be able to figure out what's kind of holding you up and give you a solution. So you'll do 2 things. We'll ask for sending logs from the app. And it's really important that you send the logs directly after whatever the issue is occurs. So as soon as it happens, go into the settings and go down to support, and then type in your info, and it'll send us the app logs from that support section. And then the second thing we'll ask you to do is send in SD card logs. And so basically this tells us what was going on with the hardware of the Mevo when you ran into that issue. So to do that, you need to put 2 files onto the SD card. And you'll notice from the website there is a link, and I think it downloads a zip file. And then you can put that zip file, open it up, and then put those 2 files directly in the main storage folder for that SD card. So don't put them inside any other folders or anything like that. Just put them just in that very first, it's not even in a folder, I guess, directly onto the card, basically. And then put it back in your Mevo, and that'll capture logs after you reproduce the problem. And then you can just send those logs to us via email. So it's actually, it sounds like more of a complex thing than it actually is. It takes maybe 3 minutes. Let's see, but it's always very helpful. I can understand why Joe is kind of against this chat thing, because it does jump down dramatically.
Yeah.
Halfway through.
Yeah, I just did the same thing. I just cut off. I actually have a question for me, so I'll go for it. So Jim asks, is if there's a picture setup I could show somehow with the equipment I use. Let me see. Oops, I zoomed out there. Let me see. I always do that when I go to my graphics. I wonder if I have my slides. Because I did actually have a slide on this, but I don't have it.
That's interesting. Laserless actually says that you are not out of sync.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I honestly think it's just a matter of the just hiccups in the signal, because the video's on, right, and the video's coming through. You can hear me fine, so it's just there's something, a connection not being made with somewhere in NDI. I don't know why. And you're saying it's synced in your OBS system?
Yeah, it's looking good.
So then so it's got to be post that. So there's just something going on with the network, I guess. I don't know. Weird. It's really weird. I don't have a picture setup. However, I don't know exactly. It's what I'm trying to think, because I did a show, a bunch of shows earlier in the year. They were labeled the Mevo audio shows, and they were specific for audio. And I kind of went through a lot of these scenarios with like I have my frame here. I had some slides and graphics and stuff like that you could see and kind of compare. If you dig into our YouTube page, you can see them there. I don't have the exact date. I was just looking for which one I did. I did a bunch of them. I did for like a month straight. I did like a stream of them. But all of that stuff is there. And essentially, it's just a matter of just following your signal chain, right? So I'm coming from this microphone to my mixer to my Mevo. I'm coming from the PlayStation 4 to my TV, TV to my mixer, mixer to my Mevo. So that it's just everything lands in the Mevo is really what you want to get to.
Yeah.
So hopefully, yeah.
I had somebody in tickets the other day who was asking me how they can have the right sync for multiple Mevos going into OBS, and that's really it's a tricky thing to do, obviously, because to have one Mevo that's very synced, you just want to have the audio going into that one Mevo. And I think really the only way to have multiple Mevos going into your computer and then having all of them synced with the exact same audio, you kind of have to split the audio signal. So if it's coming from your mixer, then you would want to like split that into a 3.5 millimeter TRS cable for each one of the Mevos. Because it's just, even if you have the audio going directly into the computer, it becomes a little tricky because then you're likely to have all of your Amiibos out of sync. So it's definitely tricky. Hopefully, that person was able to figure it out after those instructions. But that just means you have to buy more hardware, which is always not always ideal. All right. Cool.
All right.
Looking forward to the 16th. Trying to figure out what to wear. Yeah, everybody, I think it'd be cool if everybody got to kind of share their holiday use for the Mevo. Something that we were talking about last year is how people can use the Mevo during their holiday season. And, obviously it was more kind of in the thick of COVID, so not everybody was able to kind of get together. But and so like a lot of people were doing Zoom calls with their family members, and so the Mevo is obviously very, very useful for that. But I think a lot of people still, it's difficult to get the whole family together all the time, even now that COVID's sort of died down a little bit. And so I'd be interested to see if anybody is streaming their present unboxings to their family members, or using the Mevo for Zoom calls with the family, anything like that. So if you're using the Mevo in that kind of way, definitely let us know in chat, or even share what you can on the Mevo Facebook groups. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Fred the Hippo is asking, can we get a bigger preview of Windows in the Multicam app? It's a great question. I think it's just a matter of real estate in that app. There's a lot going on in the Multicam app. I almost exclusively use the Multicam app with tablets, just for that reason, just to have a bigger preview. If you go into your zoom and crop settings, you can get a full screen preview of what's going on in that shot. But as far as right now, that's just the way the UI is integrated.
Yeah. Your probably best bet is like a 12.9 inch iPad Pro. I think that's kind of the biggest tablet that you can go for. But yeah, as Joseph said, if you really need to see something bigger, just open up crop and zoom, and it'll take up the full screen. Let's see. What are the prizes for next week's show? That's a great question. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do at least one start giveaway. What else? Are we doing anything else?
Well, the prize master's on PTO right now, so the one who holds the keys to that cabinet is not with us right now, but he'll be back next week. And I know he has some ideas and he has some things on the side. So might see multiple Mevos, might see some other stuff too. Sorry, guys.
Definitely excited for the games.
Yeah.
Let's see. I would like to use the Mevo Start kit for our church setup. I want to use the kit with external lapel microphone plugged into one of the Mevos. Will this work well with the audio app?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
are you asking if you can use a lapel mic plugged into the Mevo mic app, then connected to one of the Mevos? I guess either way it works out well. You can do lapel mic plugged directly into the Mevo, or you can use it plugged into the Mevo mic app.
Yeah. So to expand on that a little bit, it's literally just coming out of one of your receiving units from your lav kit, stereo 3.5 to 3.5 cable directly into the back of the Mevo, and then the microphone side we could go direct in. You don't even need to use the mic app, but if you do, you can absolutely hook up this section to the phone itself as well.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool options audio there. How often does Mevo plan on updating Multicam in terms of big updates with features, not bug fixes? As often as they're available, I could say for that. So we do have some big features coming for Multicam, and there's been a lot of discussion over this year about it. But again, we're not going to release something if it's not ready to go. And we've done public betas and stuff like that in the past. There's actually a public beta going on right now for the Mevo 3.0 app. But for big changes, we're going to make sure those are locked in and ready to go before we announce them.
Yep. But definitely a lot of cool stuff coming for sure. Okay. How close does the Mevo need to be to have clear sound and picture? So it would be kind of different distances for each one. For picture, I can certainly speak on it's, the closer the better. If you can go 5 to 15 feet, that's probably ideal. Right now, this camera is just about a foot away from me, and so you'll have kind of the best picture the closer you can get, because it uses digital zoom. If it's any further away than 15 feet and it's just zoomed in as far as it can go, then unfortunately that means that it's blowing up that one section of the screen, so it's going to be pixelated and a little distorted. And then for best sound, how far away would you say?
For the Mevo mics,
Yeah.
3 feet at 3 to 5 feet.
Yeah.
It depends. So if you're using like a speech setting, like how I'm doing this right now, about 3 feet is what you'd want. But if you're doing, let's say you're using the Mevo mic to record a live band on stage, you're going to obviously be further away, but you're also going to be changing your settings. So if you use the music setting and you're a little bit further away, it's going to pick up more of the room, which might be what you want, especially if you're picking up like a stage performance or something. So it's all dependent on your application, really.
Yeah, and if you wanted to, have even more distance for audio, you could use external audio. You could use, those wireless lapel mics. I think you've got a Rode with you. So yeah, you can definitely have more range for audio just by using that than you can with video.
Absolutely.
Okay, David, hello from Florida. What is up? We don't have a lot of Floridians, yeah, on the show. So welcome. Let's see.
I'm trying to catch up to you.
Why can't I keep my cameras in focus? So it kind of goes back to that distance thing, I guess. It depends how far away you are from your subject matter. So, but the Mevos only have a single focal setting. So it's not that they are changing focus from something that's very close up to something that's further away. It's the same focus throughout. So if you're seeing kind of pixelation, you're probably zoomed in, like what I was talking about before with that digital zoom. So I would try and avoid zooming if possible.
Yeah, best practice there would be take the widest shot available on the Mevo and then set that wide shot as your frame. And then if you do need to zoom in from there, at least you'll be as close to subject as you can possibly be for the best quality. All right, how far down are you on the list here? Because I feel like we're jumping around a bit, but that's okay.
I don't know. About halfway. What live streaming books do you recommend for beginners? I think I looked at some live streaming books kind of more back in the day, but I think a better resource for live streaming now is YouTube. Um, there are, tons of YouTube channels with great like product reviews, step-by-step tutorials. I think it's more time efficient, but it's also nice to have those visual examples rather than just reading about them in a book. So I would recommend YouTube. There's some good channels like Harris Heller, Epos Box, um, Alpha Gaming, all of those guys. They do a good
Those
job.
are good.
Hmm.
Yeah, the information is definitely out there. I mean, even look back at some, the Mevo lives that we've done over the years and see how the different methods of streaming have changed depending on what we were doing at the time. So,
Not to mention, we've got Jason Hoffman in the channel and Ben Beckner, who also have
yep,
some great videos as well. So check them out. They specifically talk about
100%.
Mevo, which is very useful.
Yeah, narrows down your field a little bit for your searching.
Yeah, live streaming is a big topic. All right. If I store my Mevo for, let's say, a month, what level should I store the battery? I'm not sure what you mean by what level should you store the battery, but one thing that I will say about storing your Mevo for extended period of time when it's not charged or not plugged in is that it will drain. A lot of people think that if they have it turned off and aren't using it at all, then it'll just keep the same battery level the entire time, and then they find out that they have to charge the entire 6-hour battery um, when they turn it on again. And so the thing is like there's a chip inside, and this chip is active all the time, 24/7, and it's to allow you to do that power via USB feature. And so because of that, if you leave your Mevo sitting not charged for a very long period of time, then it will drain all the way down to 0. So I recommend keeping it plugged in.
Absolutely.
All right.
Right. Haram is chiming
Yeah.
in. He's getting the Meevos today, which is awesome. Can't wait. We'll be using
Nice.
NDI and PoE. Let us know how it goes. Let us know how it goes for sure.
Let's see.
Jim
Yeah.
says, thank you for not sending out an update that doesn't work. Yeah. I mean, if you guys want updates every week, we could absolutely send them to you, but they're not going to work. So,
Yeah. Technically, updates come out every day from our developers, and so that's what Joseph and I spend a lot of time using is
yeah.
the daily updates, and I'm glad that we wait till they're ready, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, part of our job, which
Um,
maybe a lot of people don't realize, is we do look at the latest upgrades and try and force problems and try and find bugs, and that is part of it. So it's a complete collaboration. Until everyone's satisfied, we don't release it.
yep. Let's see. Our church gatherings are in a large gym. What type of Wi-Fi connection would you recommend for a good stream? We would be using 3 Mevos and 1 tablet. So I always push people towards mesh Wi-Fi, especially if they have a bigger range to cover. I always try and push people away from using Wi-Fi extenders. I think the problem with Wi-Fi extenders is they kind of will split the Wi-Fi into 2 different channels, um, and they don't really they're not really great for cross communication between devices. So obviously, if you can have a single Wi-Fi access point that covers your entire range, then that's a good way to go. But if you have a very big distance, I would recommend a mesh network.
Awesome.
Let's see. Jason Hoffman coming in late, but loving the festive backgrounds. Thank you so much. We try. If the volume is too low for recording, how do you make it louder? That's a good audio question for you.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a couple of things you can do. It depends it depends on your setup. So, for example, my setup right now, I can change my volume in the Mevo application by using the sliders. which I can actually show you. Hold on. So this is with the audio. Let's see if you guys can see that. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Could you see that, Will? Am I going the wrong way? This way? Okay, so there's sliders for your input of each selection, like whatever you're using, as far as like if you're using the internal microphones, or using a line in, or using USB, or using lavs, or using the Mevo mic app. So there's input sliders for all of those inside the Mevo app. Externally, you do have other controls too. So for example, I can control the volume to this Mevo from my audio mixer, and which I could do other things too. Like you want to do the you guys hear the delay coming through? Is it kicking around in the speakers a little bit? Yeah. It's probably getting a little chopped up by the noise suppressors, but so stuff like that. I could also just turn my volume completely mute. Hear me? Now you can. Now you can hear me fine. I can also change that volume from the headphone amp that I'm using, which would be changing the overall mix volume just to the Mevo. So let's say I like what I'm getting through my analog mixer, but it's a little hot in the Mevo. I can then use this separate volume control over here to control that. So it really depends on your setup, and you have a lot of lines to go through as far as your levels. Really what you want to shoot for, if you are using a system that you can meter this, -6, -3 is pushing it on your meters. That's kind of where you want to be that's kind of the standard around, internet streaming. Yeah, I mean that I can unpack that question all day, because then you could talk about compression, you could talk about limiters. So it's really just a matter of just regulating the audio throughout the entire chain. I guess that's the best answer for that. Jim says, looks good and sounds good, no sync issues. Great. Awesome, Jim. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I feel like it might be audio and video synced. I guess we saw this earlier, but good. Weird stuff going on with that. I hate when there's a problem where we just like honestly just don't know why it's happening. It's just
never fun.
Irks me a little bit. Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, I just threw on a 200 ms delay.
Okay.
So yeah, right. Let us know if that improves that delay issue. Let's see.
You just threw it on just now?
Yeah.
Okay.
If using 3 Mevos and streaming through the app, do I need to have audio ran to every camera for when I switch videos? No. If you're using audio from in the Multicam app, you can just have audio going to that single Mevo. What I was talking about earlier, where you had the user sending audio to every one of the Mevos, they were actually sending audio or sending the Mevo signal to OBS using NDI. So if you're using the Multicam app, you don't have to worry about that sync issue that they were dealing with. So you're all good. How can I use the Mevo to live stream to IG? So
I love this.
We actually haven't gotten this question in a little while. Unfortunately, Instagram does not allow external streaming. So no matter what you're using, Mevo, OBS, any kind of source, unfortunately, you can't go directly to Instagram. To stream on Instagram, you have to use the Instagram app. So that is a very unfortunate lock that Instagram has. Let's see.
Sorry, I'm still tinkering.
No worries. Do you guys doing these shows every week? Who needs prizes? These sessions are priceless. I have learned a ton. Thank you for your time and doing this each week. Our pleasure. We love doing this. This is a great way for us to answer a million questions in a very short amount of time. So we love it. Are there any other Mevo apps being worked on? There aren't. So right now we have so many apps already, honestly. Like having the Mevo app, the Multicam app, and then you've got the Mac wireless webcam application and the Windows wireless webcam application. It's actually more than maybe is ideal. I don't know, but thankfully we have a great big team that's working on it. So we were able to work it all on all of this at once. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I joined Mevo like I don't know a year and a half ago, and we just had the Mevo 2.0 app and nothing else. So it's a lot.
Hmm.
It's a lot of change in a short amount of time. Let's see. I remember seeing at one point the development of being able to export the Multicam app signal via Ndi to integrate into programs like OBS. What's the latest on this? Let's see. So we still have it on our coming soon page. So it is something that we're working on and something that we do want to add to the Multicam app. Unfortunately, we don't really have a timeline as to when that will be out or anything like that, but it's definitely something that we have publicly mentioned that we do want to do. So hopefully sooner rather than later, and it's definitely something that we will show as soon as we can.
Yeah, and there's other things that are happening with Multicam too that I think everyone's going to really, really like. That I've actually got to see. We got to test a little bit. I don't want to pour some salt on the on the wound of waiting, but it's awesome, and just got to get it right. That's it.
Yep.
Yes, my chair is squeaky. I know. I know.
Feel you.
Yeah. Ben's
Problem.
commenting on it.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Let's see. Learning much through these segments. Keep teaching us. Awesome. That's what we love to hear. Want to use the Mevo as an external camera on my MacBook Air, plugging into the Thunderbolt port, but not seeing it. What am I missing? So, Thunderbolt port, I would say, well, I guess it depends on
a MacBook Air, it's just a
that you
USB-C.
have. Yeah,
right?
I mean, if you have an
It's not going to be
older
a Thunderbolt 2.
yeah, I
Not
don't
on an
know.
Airs.
Maybe like 5 years ago, it was a Thunderbolt 2. I don't know. Yeah, it would really depend on the model MacBook Air that you're using, what year it is. But
Yeah.
that being said, if you're using wired webcam, you want to make sure that number one, that you have wired webcam mode turned on. And I always recommend turning on wired webcam before plugging it into your computer. Another thing, that there's lots of factors, I guess. If you're doing wired webcam, it really depends on the program that you're using it with. If you're using it with Zoom, typically you want to have wired webcam mode turned on, then plug it in, and then open up your program like Zoom. Also, we have a lot of people that don't see it in Zoom because they're using an older version of Zoom. So make sure that the software you're using is completely up to date. And then don't forget you can also use wireless webcam really easily with Macs. So lots of good options. But if you are still unable to get it to work, just open up a ticket with us, help.mevo.com, and one of us will help you one-on-one.
Yeah, that's the best way to go.
Okay. Cool, I'm gonna go
Jason is chiming in on the battery storage. He's saying 50% for lithium ion, which I guess maybe there's a rule to that. But like Will said, it's going to drain. So just make sure your stuff's charged before you use it. Joe Mevo chiming in on Facebook, commenting on Will's fancy fireplace. All right, so everyone in the comments, please tell Joe Mevo to go enjoy his time off.
Joe is he's too hard of a worker, guys.
He's nonstop. He's a machine, that guy. I love him. Yep. All right. Let's see. Ben says, what can't you share with the previews, or why can't you share what the previews are going to be as far as like the updates? Because then they wouldn't be updates. Then they would be downdates.
Sometimes we get to show them off before they come out. Unfortunately, we typically get told that unless it's about like a week from being released, then we can't really talk about it. But sometimes we can talk about it earlier. but usually it's just a week or so, maybe a couple of days before we get to talk about it before the release. Let's see. Do you see there being a time where we will have 4 cameras, or is 3 pushing the networking? Is there a reason the number is 3? So, a couple things with this. Number one, it's definitely something that we are looking at and we want to be able to do to expand the number of cameras that you can use in the Multicam app. I have personally used, I don't know, something like 12 Mevos or something like that with the Multicam app without having issues. But the problem is that if we allow you to have, let's say, 4 Mevos, um, then you're going to have a powerful device, and not everybody wants to spend, $1,000 on a tablet that can, run 4 cameras or more than 4 cameras. And so right now it's limited to 3 so that we can use the maximum number of devices to be compatible with 3 and not have any problems. As soon as you start adding more than 3, then it just is a heavier requirement on the device itself, but also definitely heavier on the requirement for your network. So we wanted to have the Multicam app work with the most amount of people and not have those issues. But we're definitely looking at adding more cameras for sure. It's definitely something that I would love for us to do because I think you can do some really cool stuff when you're using 10 Mevos. It can be overkill, but it can be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? Why does the battery drain? So the battery drained or drains even when it's turned off because there is a chip that allows you to turn it on by powering USB to the Mevo. So that requires a little bit of power.
Yep. Yeah, so it's always going.
Yeah.
A lot of people giving the business to Joe.
Nice.
So Laserless on Twitch, a couple questions. So why does it drain? And then is the device a bottleneck when referring to the 4 cameras? I mean, it can be, but it's not just that, right? It's the network, it's the load, it's what are we going to require the device that you have to have as a minimum just to run the app if we're going to start adding things to it. Right. It's weird. Like there's this weird line with Mevo where we're trying to offer production quality things that would normally cost thousands of dollars, or tens of thousands of dollars at a reasonable price point. But then the more you add onto it, obviously the more complicated the setup gets, and then you just start building it up from there. So you're kind of right back where you started. So the trying to keep within the culture of we want to set up something that's simple and easy to use that everyone can use, and you don't really have to worry so much about your device. That's why there's some limitations to some of the things that we do.
Yep. Let's see. How are you doing? Live comments from all the locations. So we are using Restream to stream to all of our destinations, and Restream has this great feature where you can embed chat into OBS using an HTML link. So that is how chat is being done. It's very cool.
Yeah,
Restream is great if you're using, the Mevo directly with the Multicam app or the Mevo app, and you wanted to have multi-destination streaming. But it's also great if you're using OBS. So we've been having fun with it, Restream. Let's see. Would you recommend charging it once a week while storing? I recommend just keeping it plugged in and charging while storing it. Obviously, if you can't keep it plugged in for any reason, that I would just recommend being prepared to charge it up from 0% whenever you do need to use it. So if you leave it for a couple of months and you have a stream starting in an hour, you might be struggling with your battery life. But other than that, yeah, I would recommend keeping it charged and plugged in.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, the longer it's the storage, the more firmware updates and software updates it's going to miss. So even if you pulled it out of storage and you want to use it right away, you're likely going to have to do some type of update. So there's definitely going to be some type of setup process. So that's just a best practice. We just want to make sure that we are always preparing for that. I see a wheel.
Ooh, holiday wheel. All right. So before we spin this thing, if you are new to the show and you don't know about our giveaways, we do a giveaway every couple of weeks, and it's a free Mevo start. And all you have to do to join the giveaway is you just have to join chat, ask us questions, talk to other chatters. As long as you're involved in the program, then we want to give you a chance to win a free Mevo start. So let's do it.
All right, let's spin the wheel. This is awesome.
The suspense.
Oh, then this wheel's going to spin forever. So for those of you who haven't seen this yet, this is the most stressful wheel of all time. Oh.
Oh.
Joe.
Congratulations,
who we got?
Brad. Brad Wilson. Awesome.
Awesome.
Congrats.
A little delayed on my end. See if it's.
All right.
It's going good.
Hopefully Brad Wilson is in chat. If you are in chat, or you're just watching this on YouTube later on, be sure to claim your prize. Claim your free Mevo start, because we need your info to send it to you. So open up a ticket on help.mevo.com and send us your info. Congratulations. And don't forget, you have a chance to win every 2 weeks. All you have to do is join chat. Cool.
That's it. A lot of people congratulating Brad. It's awesome. Joe's chiming in saying, if anyone hasn't gotten their Mevo yet, Joe said he's on top of it, so don't worry about that.
Nice.
One last question. Let's round out the day on this there, Will, and you could probably contribute to this quite a bit. So Daryl's saying thank you for keeping things affordable. We appreciate it. What should I consider in purchasing a laptop to plug in my Mevo? So let's say you want to actually buy a laptop to work with your Mevos. What are some of the things that you would recommend in a laptop?
Ooh, it really depends on your budget. But I would say, you probably want to have something that has 8 gigs of RAM as a minimum. Windows 11 definitely works well. If it has Wi-Fi 6, you're probably better off. But I guess if you're just plugging it in, as long as it's Windows or Mac, and within the past, I don't know, 3 years or so, then you'll be fine. Just stay away from Chromebooks. We have a bunch of people that try and get the Mevo to work with their Chromebook, and unfortunately, it's not designed for Chromebooks, and so it won't work quite right. But yeah, that's about it. Mevo, especially with wired webcam mode, is pretty compatible across the board. I've only seen a couple laptops that are kind of not compatible, that are Windows machines, and that's because they don't come with UVC drivers. But I would say 90% of them do. 90, maybe even 95.
About it for questions. That's about it for me. That's about it for you. All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on Tuesday. Don't forget, next week on December 16th, we've got our big holiday show with lots of games and giveaways and all that fun stuff. So be sure to, at the very least, join us then, and we will see you next time. And don't forget, you can open up a help ticket with us anytime on help.mevo.com, as well as find all of the support articles there as well. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you then.